Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in front of you, you have my most hated tier 10 by far, the Waffen F1. For some reason, I decided that I wanted to 3-mark this tank today, and I was not going to quit until I completed it. I'm the kind of person that just keeps on going and going and going until I accomplish my goal. So early this morning, I said, all right, guys, we're going to do a live stream for my next tank I'm going to 3-mark, which is the Waffen F1. And I did a 3-hour stream. I think we played about 40 games in total, and then I had to go eat dinner. So I ended the stream. Then I came back a little bit later, and I was planning to finish off, maybe an hour or two. Boom. Get my 3 marks and call it a day. Well, turns out that I had some terrible teams. And anybody can watch the live streams and see just how bad my teams were. They were awful. I played in total today 140 games. And in those 140 games, I went 56% win rate. I was averaging 3,300 damage. In fact, the last 20 games I played, I was averaging 3,800 average damage, which is what allowed me to finally 3-mark the vehicle. But it does showcase just how useless this tank is at influencing games. The major reason, though, why I struggled so much was simply because of the fact it's a new update that just got released, and it's paired with the fact that there are so many people tryharding to 3-mark their vehicles. That's been the major problem. I have seen so many tryhards over the past 2 days since this update's been released that have been trying to 3-mark all of their tanks. And listen, I got no problem if people want to 3-mark their tanks. Me choosing the Waffenträger the day after the update getting released was a huge mistake, because I was going up against all of these people driving the most cringe tanks. 116 F3s, E50Ms, E6s, every single cringe tier 10 you can think of, I was going up against. And I was going up against the top players every single game. So trying to 3-mark this vehicle and going up against those players was basically the most unenjoyable experience known to humankind. Now I ended up, as I said, going about 3,300 average damage, which places me number 2 in the NA server for this vehicle over the past 30 days, which really does showcase just how tricky this vehicle is to drive. Most of my tier 10s I can easily go 3,500. This tank is just so team dependent. Sometimes you have a crazy game, the next battle's absolutely terrible. So today, I'm going to showcase how I was able to 3-mark this tank. For those of you that don't know what marking is, it means that you're playing better than 95% of the players that have used this tank, as we can see. So today, I'm going to be showcasing how I was able to finally 3-mark this vehicle, the game that pushed me over the limit, and everything else. So let's start off, as I said, with the statistics of this tank. It has 2 different guns. First of all, you got the 5-shot. Now, on paper, the 5-shot looks better. It's got better aiming time, better dispersion. It's got better standard penetration. It has APCR with arguably better pen as well. And when you add all that together with a much faster interclip, this gun is really good for tracking opponents. It's really nice at that. Unfortunately, the 5-shot has one major downside, and that is alpha. It doesn't deal nearly as much as the 3-shot. The 3-shot does 570 damage, and that means you can shoot somebody back into cover, and even if it does take you 30 seconds to reload, at least you did 570 and not 300. You also have massive HE alpha on the 3-shot with 870. If you do 870 and you multiply that by 3, you're looking at 2,600 potential damage in a clip, where the 400 alpha on the 5-shot multiplied by the 5 shells is only 2,000 damage. So basically, the 3-shot is kind of a just better gun. Yes, it has worse dispersion, it has worse pen, it has worse aiming time, and even shell velocity, but at the end of the day, being able to deal more damage and back into cover, and not only that, but having much more high explosive alpha, is just a big advantage. You can literally full kill a 4005 even if it's running Spall Liner with HE. Same for a grill. You can 2-tap light tanks with high explosive, where you just can't do that with the 5-shot. Now, that's not to say the 5-shot doesn't have advantages. Being able to permanently track opponents gives you assistance damage, which then gives you the ability to get more kills as well, because you can shoot, let's say there's 3 tanks at all of 100 health, boom, boom, boom. You can do that with the 5-shot really easily. With the 3-shot, you're hemorrhaging damage because you're going to take 3 500 alpha shots and you're going to spread them across 3 tanks which have such little health. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. In general, I don't like this tank, I'll be honest. Every now and then I have a really fun game, but you also have like the most unenjoyable games ever, and because of that, it can be really, really unenjoyable. So this first game we are taking a look at is on Oasis Palms, and it is with the 5-shot. This was the first really good game I had, and you can see that this battle was only when I had 1 mark on my tank during live stream. So what do we have up against us? We got a 114 SP2, BZ75, FE2 and 5B, and an IS4. This is kind of the dream matchup. The major problem that I was having during live stream today was that most of the matches were filled with mediums, right? As I said, there were a lot of people that were tryharding to mark their tanks. And, well, it just so happens that most of the tanks that these people are tryharding in are mediums. They're fast tanks. It's not a lot of heavies. In fact, I very rarely saw any skilled players driving tanks that were heavies. And if they were heavies, as I said, they were mobile heavies, like the E6, the Concept. Apart from that, I didn't really see any heavies being played. I did not see any skilled players in the E100, the Mouse, anything like that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it really wasn't fun when I was, playing, also, poor 62A. You can see there where the accuracy and tracking capabilities of the 5-shot are kind of insane. Probably wouldn't have been able to do that with the 3-shot. But in general, a lot of the matches I was playing were filled with mediums. And the problem is, when your matches are filled with mediums, you can't do anything in this tank. You get outspotted, everything shoots you, and you just kind of die. The Waffen is great at ripping apart heavies. Heavies are not fast enough to push up and kill you. They don't have enough DPM to usually deal with you. Mediums are the major threat for this tank. So we're going to aim it on the 114, wait for him to turn his turret. There's 370. There's a miss. And there's 315. Wow, we got really screwed in that clip there. And now we have to wait another 30 seconds. I might as well just skip ahead a little bit here. That's the biggest problem with this tank, though, is you just wait so long. So incredibly long. So far, we're up to 1,800 damage. We can see the BZ75 and the IS4 on the side over there. And somehow I'm actually not spotted from them, which is really shocking. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and move up through mid. We have the Mouse. We got the 114. I'm going to aim it on the 114, so I'm going to put on my reticle Cali, aim it on the hatch, boom. There you go, 345. Now we're going to move up a little bit more, and we have the FE2 and 5B 183 in front of me. Now we still have an additional 1,400 damage we can deal. So there's 394, 748, 1,071, 1,390, and then we back up. And again, you can see that I can track that 183 with the 5-shot because my intro clip is so fast and completely lock that player down. At this point, I've already managed to deal 3,600 damage. I've also assisted 1,400 by tracking enemies, so we're actually pretty good already. This is enough damage to already ace the tank. I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. This tank is the easiest vehicle possibly in tier 10 to ace because of just how bad it is. So we get 1 shell into the back of the Ag. I'm going to track him, and I'm going to get the kill. That's 700 damage there. Then we're going to aim it on the side of the IS4. We damage the Amarak. There you go. 1,600 damage into the IS4. Just like that, I ended up dealing 6,233 damage, assisting 1,300, and getting 4 kills. You pair all that together, and that's a lot. Combined, that's over 7,500 damage. And if you also add that in with the fact that we kind of just dominated everything in front of us, this is kind of like the dream scenario for the Waffen. And if we hide my camera really quickly, we can see that my mark went up by 5%, going from what was 76% to now 81%. That was a huge jump on my mark, and overall, a really, really good game for this tank. We earned over 300,000 credits and easily finished on the top of the team there. Then we arrived to the second game we played in the Waffen, which was on Nube. This is now when we had 2 marks on the vehicle. And Nube is definitely not the easiest map to play this tank on. And as you can see, I am running the 3-shot. Now I'm going to be honest, I don't actually know what happened in this game. I starred the battle, but I played 140 games in this tank. So I'm hoping that this game that I starred was a good game, and I'm not going to have to redo this recording and get rid of this battle here. Oh, no, I remember this game now. This is the one with the enemy 260. Yeah, this was kind of like the dream scenario for the Waffen again. This was a really, really lucky game to get placed in here. I definitely started realizing that playing this tank aggressive sometimes is actually more beneficial. A lot of the times I play this thing really far back, what ends up happening is I kind of just get crapped on. Now, some of the maps, you have to play passive, right? Dead Rail, for example, you have to. But on a game like this where I can play it aggressive, that enemy 260 just lost 1,700 health to me. And now I'm just going to back up. The 260 manages to miss me, and I'm just going to pretend like I have shells. This player's not smart enough to realize that I am I guess, on reload still. So I just sit here, I pretend I have shells, and just like that, we basically got a free 1700 damage. Even if the 260 did shoot me once, I still wouldn't have cared. So we're going to reload again. We got a 3, 2, 1, and okay, we're loaded. Let's aim it on the 260. There's 560 damage. I see my 121 aiming on the 260. So I'm going to aim it on the YAG. Get 1, get 2. There you go. That's 3,400 damage. Just like that. 2 clips. 3,400 damage. If every game I played in the Waffen went just like that one there, I would have easily gotten this tank 3 marked in about 40 games. But unfortunately, that's just not how the cookie crumbles, and it definitely was not a cakewalk for a lot of the games I played. The problem is, a lot of the games you play is completely map dependent. I remember telling my chat that Normandy, Port Bay, and Middleburg were the worst maps possible for this tank. And that if I got those maps, I was going to mold. And I remember that, like, the moment I said that, I got Port Bay first, and then I got Middleburg, and then I got the other version of Middleburg, because they have both versions of Middleburg in the game right now, the old and new version, and then I got Normandy, and then I got Port Bay again, and then I got Normandy again. I'm not even joking, you can watch the stream. The problem is, oof, 1,012 into the rear of that M60. By the way, this is where that high explosive is much better with the 3-shot, right? You just saw me get a 1,000 HE into the M60, and then the enemy T100's AFK. So I'm going to load in my final shell here, which is another HE on the corner of the T100, and deal another 900 damage. I just wouldn't have been able to do that with the 5-shot, so it's definitely a big advantage there for the 5-shot. And just like that, we did 5,449 damage, got 2 kills, and again, aced the tank pretty easily. But as I was trying to say before, in general, the problem is that this tank is so map dependent. When your team goes Middleburg Hill, there's literally nothing you can do in this tank. I'm not even joking. There is nothing you can do. Because everything has gun depression, everything has turret armor, and you get outspotted even from the back. So you're basically just screwed. The best thing you can do is try and go town, cap some bases, and hope that nobody YOLOs you. And that's really what I did most of the time I got Middleburg. That's the problem with this tank, is that the maps just aren't large enough. The best map by far for this vehicle was Oasis, the old version, because I was able to sit this tank in the back, and the map was so large that I actually didn't worry about being spotted. It was one of the few times I actually really enjoyed driving this thing. Unfortunately, apart from old Oasis, every other map felt like a just terrible experience. But either way, pretty good game for the Waffen on Nube here. And we're not done with Nube. We have one more game. This battle here is the game that got me my 3rd mark for the Waffen F1. And trust me, this is an absolutely crazy game. It is by far the craziest game that I played out of every single battle in this tank today. And I'm really happy that it pushed me over the edge. You're going to see. I was actually only at around 92% mark when I played this battle. I had slowly worked my way up. I was at about 88% when I had stopped streaming, and I was really angry. So I just wanted to, you know, get this done. So I played off stream for a little bit, and I was able to make it. So let's see. I think the major problem I had on live stream is I just kept getting angry. The problem is I'm trying to talk to chat. I'm trying to not want to kill myself at the same time. So in the beginning of this game, I'm trying to cap the base, right? I'm trying to get as much base cap points as I can, so I'm playing on Supremacy. We step into base A. That's a decent start. So we're going up on base cap, which means I'm going up on XP. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stick with my team as much as I can, and I'm going to flank. We can see a 4005 and Tortoise on the enemy team. And looking at the minimap, we can see that they're right around this corner. So I'm hoping right now, I'm looking at my Leopard, and I'm really hoping that I can get around this corner before the 4005 backs up. But unfortunately, because our Leopard and teammates roll around there, I can't shoot the 4005. But that's fine. I get 625 into the Tortoise. I go for the track wheel, 562. And another 587. Just like that, I brought a full health Tortoise down to 26 hit points. We are now at 1,770 damage. Again, when you're able to actually play this thing aggressive and catch somebody off guard like that, this is where the Waffen can kind of carry. And I kind of started playing more aggressive like this towards the latter part of my grind session, and I actually did a lot better, averaging in the last 20 games about 3,700 damage in this tank. So definitely seems like when you're able to play this thing aggressive, it's a lot better. But again, it's only when you're in matchups where you actually have heavies, right? When you're in matchups and you don't have heavily armored vehicles and you don't have tanks that you can catch, like again, we got an AMX here. This thing's got a boatload of health, and it's a big meat chunk for me to rip apart. There's one, there's two, and then we can load one more shell into the AMX. Boom. I mean, we're already up to 3,400 damage. The problem is, when you have a bunch of mediums against you, and they're super mobile, and they're just hard to counter, and not to mention half the mediums, like the M48 Patton and the E50M, have reactive. That's the problem that you keep running into, is you just can't do anything against mediums. They have too much DPM, they have too much mobility, and they just rip you apart. But when you're in games like this, when you're able to get that town engagement, and you're up against a bunch of heavies, right? We got an E75 here, we got a Conway, I'm going to load an HE shell, boom, get the clearance of the Conway. Then we're going to aim it on the E75, boom, 713, max roll fire, and there you go, 1500 health off that player. So now we're up to 5,400 damage already, and I've been smart about this. As you can see, I captured base A, I helped my IS-7 capture base C, so with that being said, we are actually going up on base cap way faster than the enemy team is. Not only that, my IS-7 is now capturing base B. So we're going to start skyrocketing in base cap here, which is nice, right? The more cap our team goes up, the more XP I get. So what I'm trying to do right now is not throw this game. So I'm really trying to think of what I want to do, because the E75's right here, and the E75's an easy kill. But at the same time, I don't want to put myself in a position where this T100 is going to be able to YOLO me. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to get the E75 taken out. I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I need to take the E75 out. So I get a quick snap into that player, because I see what's going to happen here. The 4005 and the T100 are going to try and push my IS-7, and there's no way I'm going to allow that to happen. So I got 2 shells, and the 4005's only got 900 health, and the T100 got 1300, so technically I can kill both of these tanks if I need to. But I was gonna shoot the T100, but I can't. But there you go, T100 backs into the open, I load a high explosive, and I get trolled. But you know what, it's fine. It wouldn't have mattered either way. I need to reload my clip either way to kill this T100. Now this player's probably thinking to themselves, oh, I'm gonna kill you. And by the way, this T100's a decent player, as you'll see at the end of the game. But yeah, they're thinking to themselves, oh, I've got more DPM than you, I'm gonna kill you. Well, here's the thing. This tank doesn't actually have bad DPM. It's got about 2,800. I have less than this T100, but at the end of the day, this T100 doesn't have enough DPM to kill me before I get my clip loaded. So I'm going to reload, get 1 shell into the T100, reload again, boom, get the 2nd shell into the T100, 4 kills, 2 bases capped, 7,400 damage dealt. This is by far the best game I've played in the Waffen the entire day. And I'm so happy that it was the final game needed, as you can see, to earn my 3rd gun mark. If we take a look at the statistics right there, we went up 3% on my mark with that game. And just like that, we finally finished it. This was by far the most painful grind I've ever had in World of Tanks Blitz. I've never really liked this tank, and it's possible that my playstyle doesn't really mesh well with this vehicle, but at the end of the day, as I said, I was number 2 on the NA server with this vehicle at the time of finishing this grind in the 30 days stats. So it's not like I'm doing bad, and I had plenty of skilled players like Dizzy and Dragon Creek who are very skilled, who are even in the live stream watching me, and you know, everybody was just watching me get shafted by the worst teams ever. And the problem is, when you get a bad team, you're just cooked. That's really the best way to describe it. One of the games I played on Black Goldville was really awful. And I'm going to see if I can find it before we end off the stream here. You can see just how many games I played. I think this was the game here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the game. So this game on Black Goldville, I wanted to push to the town. And you're going to see that here, right? So I start this game off. I see my 114 SP2 going town. I'm going to go town as well. And, you know, my 2 and 5 now leaves. But I was telling the chat, I was like, okay, chat, here's my thought process. I'm going to go to town, I'm going to capture base C, and then I'm going to try and, you know, sit back over here and maybe use these ridge lines and shoot tanks from, you know, these positions. But already, we got a Marat and E50M. And just like that, they've spotted me. That far away, they've spotted me. That's the problem with this tank. It just has such bad camo. So I'm already detected. And that's not good. That's not good at all. So I got like the E50M, and I want to be able to shoot them, but oh, I drive into the wall. Okay, well that's not good. I get stuck, and that actually screws me. If I didn't get stuck there, I probably would have been able to cross this, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. You'll see why. You'll see why in a moment. So I'm already thinking to myself, I need to get the hell out of here. Leopard shoots me once. I just want to point out to you, the Leopard spotted me from that far away, all the way from the back. Doesn't even get detected shooting me. This is, as I said, the problem when you're up against mediums. They just outspot you and you can't counter them. So I get shot once. I'm trying to sit here now because I'm thinking to myself, this is a pretty safe spot, right? The mediums that are overlooking base B can't shoot me. Hopefully the Leopard can't see me from here. This looks pretty safe. Well, a Kron drives through mid. So I'm cooked now. I'm cooked. The Kron shoots me, and I'm just going to try and leave. The Kron shoots me again, and the Leopard shoots me again in the side from the back corner there. So that's it. My game's over. I have 550 health. At this point, I was just pissed. You can imagine. I was just pissed. I don't know why I didn't end the stream off at this point. I didn't even care that the Kron shot me in the side. I was cooked either way. I was completely cooked. And this is the kind of experience that I was having in the Waffen where, you know, I wanted to make a play where I was going to put myself in a good spot. I'd probably played on Black Goldville, I don't know, 15 times today. And that was the only game on... Oh, my game crashed. That was the only game on Black Goldville that I played where my... the enemy team went to town. That was the only game. But somehow, the one battle that I decided to stray from the team, and I wanted to go to base C, was the battle that I got screwed. And it really shows just how fragile the thing is, right? Any other tier 10, I probably could have either left, or I would have at least been able to fend for myself. But in this tank, the moment things go south, you're cooked. And that's always going to be the biggest problem with the Waffen Tiger, is the fact that it literally falls apart just because of a frickin' piece of dust that lands on it. Definitely not a vehicle that I'm ever going to be driving again. I mean, maybe if people donate. You can't lose marks once you grind them. And at the end of the day, there were definitely some fun moments. I think the major reason why I just raged so much was because I was trying to achieve a goal, and I was just getting shafted by the worst teams. So I did it. I'm happy. I don't have to play this tank again. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. But man, that was pain. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to smash that subscribe button. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.